Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it is great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, we're really happy you joined us. Hope you like what you hear. So, our podcast is for people that want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. So, we typically try to take a topic, provide some tips and real world ways that you can incorporate those tips into your life so you can take accountability for your life, take control of your life, and build the life that you want instead of building the life that you're given. So we want folks to take personal accountability, take control. We want to help you do that. It's been a good path for us. We feel very strongly that it's the way to go, and we want to empower other people to do the same thing for themselves. So, with that said, today we're going to be talking about developing a no excuses mindset. Now, this is tough. And we're not immune to it at all. We wind up in situations where we feel sorry for ourselves. We make excuses. We explain all the reasons why X, Y, or Z is not possible, blah, blah, blah. And that's not a path to success. It's just not. So we can tell you that from personal experience, it's easy to use athletics because those things are very easy to track. I did this and then this happened. But when I was 11, I got cut from a team. And I was on the border of being good enough. It was an all-star team. I was on the border of being good enough, but there was question whether I should have been on that team or not. And so I felt sorry for myself and all the reasons why it was unfair, et cetera, that night. And then the next morning, I got up and put together a workout plan. So I started lifting weights when I was 11. I started off-season conditioning when I was 11. And I was never on the bubble again. I just took away all the excuses. I said, I'm going to be so good they can't not take me. And so I got exposed pretty early on to the mindset and how it works. And again, not perfect. There's times where we fall into a bad mindset and we have to pull ourselves out of it. And that's what we want to talk about today. Is we want to talk about what do you do when you're in that mindset and how do you get out of it and move to a no excuses mentality instead of an excuse or a victim mentality. So that's what we're talking about today. So what is an excuse? There's differences between excuses and explanations or reasons, right? So there's reasons things happen, and it's okay to acknowledge this is a reason things went bad. This is a reason I wasn't successful in this particular instance. But you can't allow those to stop you. So instead of focusing on what you can't do or what you don't have, you want to learn to focus on what you can do and what you do have. And so that's the difference between focusing on what you can control and what you cannot control. So why do we make excuses? What is it about human beings that all of us wind up making excuses in different situations? So there's several things that drive it. There's several kind of emotions or thought processes that behind it. Fear, that's one. You're afraid. You're not sure how to explain it. You're not sure what to do, so you make excuses. You're lazy. I don't want to do it. I don't feel good. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too early. It's too late. All sorts of, that's just laziness, right? So that's an excuse as well, or a reason for making those excuses. Lack of confidence. I've never done this before. I'm not good enough. Other people are smarter than me. Other people are better looking than me. Other people are richer than me. Other people are blah, 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 right? Those are one of the reasons too. You don't have confidence in yourself. You've got to develop that confidence in your mind. And then avoiding responsibility. I don't want to be, I hear this all the time. I don't want to be an adult. Like, okay, well, you are. Doesn't matter that you don't want to be. You are. But trying to avoid responsibility, there's only two ways to make it. You're going to experience pain either now or later. And typically, if you choose to avoid the pain now, you pay for it with more pain later. So if you eat the pizza now consistently, you feel shitty more later because you gain weight, you don't have the proper nutrients in your body's working hard to digest the shitty food you put into it. Instant gratification leads to longer term pain. Delayed gratification leads to more gratification, higher levels of gratification down the road. So that's why we're proponents of this mindset. And so we want people to take personal responsibility because it will empower you. When you say, hey, it's on me If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Nobody's coming. The cavalry isn't coming. No one's going to knock on the door and save you. It is up to you to build the life that you want. And again, okay to identify reasons, but you can't use them as excuses to not take action and start making progress towards your goals. So we're going to give you 5 tips. We're going to give you 5 tips on how to shift your mindset from not my fault, the world's against me, I'm a victim, to no excuses. I don't care, no excuses. We are going to make this work. I'm going to find a way because it's important to me. So, tip number 1 is to identify your current patterns, identify your current habits. Write down a list of recurring excuses you make in different areas of your life. Some examples: I'm too busy. I don't have the skills. It's not the right time. I don't have enough money. I don't live in the right area. I'm not in a relationship. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm too tired. All those are excuses. Those are excuses. We all do it. We all make them. A good place for you to start is to list out which ones of those do I make, or what are my excuses that I make frequently? What is my pattern? What is the pattern or habit that I have to interrupt if I want to be successful? So, and then ask yourself, why are you making those excuses? What are you avoiding by making those excuses? Is it fear? Is it fear of failure? Is it procrastination? Is it laziness? What is it? And maybe there's an emotional component to it too, but you've got to get to that underlying cause before you can find a way to push past it. A good way to do that is to track these excuses. When do you make them? What situations do you make them in? And how often do you make them? And that will show you a pattern. And then you have a pattern that you can interrupt. Because the first thing you have to do is be aware that it's happening. If you don't acknowledge that you don't have a problem, if you don't acknowledge that you do have a problem, you can't fix the problem. So the first thing you have to do is identify the problem, acknowledge the problem, and then you can work on changing it. But you got to confront it head on and say, hey, I currently suck at X, but I'm going to get better because I'm not going to make any more excuses. It's on me. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, replace excuses with empowering questions. So when you catch yourself making an excuse, stop and reframe your thought process. So, for example, I don't have time. Instead of saying I don't have time, acknowledge that your schedule is tight, but say, how do I make the time? We did an episode recently about making a to-don't list. What do you do now that's unproductive that you should stop doing? Because if you dropped that habit, you would have time for the habit that would allow you to pursue the thing that's important to you. So instead of saying, I don't have time, reframe that to, how can I make time? I don't have enough money. How can I do this with the money I have? How can I do this with a partner who has money? Those are examples of how to reframe it. So another step to this is, a way to handle this is write down 3 actionable solutions to the challenge instead of focusing on the problem. So don't focus on the things you don't have or don't have control over. Focus on the things you do have and do have control over, because it's going to break your excuse cycle of, I don't have this, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. No. What is it you do have control over? Let's not spend time trying to manage things we can't manage. I'm not going to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. I'm going to get off the Titanic. I'm going to take action to save my own life. So by shifting your focus from the problem to solutions to the problem, it will help you break the excuse cycle. All right, so step 3, create accountability structures. So some ways to do that. You can share your goals and your commitments with somebody you trust, a friend, a mentor, a coach, a family member, a spouse, whoever it is, doesn't matter. But you can share that with them, and that will provide one level of accountability. Another level of accountability is do a check-in, daily, weekly, monthly. I don't know what the check-in is. I don't know what your goal is. I don't know what you're working on. But if you have regular check-ins so that you're assessing your progress towards your goal, assessing your progress towards changing your mindset, that provides yet another layer of accountability. Third Another way to add even more accountability is use an app. There's apps out there like Habitica, Strides, Todoist. There's all sorts of accountability apps where you structure what you want to achieve and you lay out that plan. And then you have to check in with the app and check off that you've either accomplished what you said you were going to accomplish or you did not accomplish what you said you were going to accomplish. You do it the old fashioned way, write it down, write it into a calendar. There's nothing wrong with doing it the old fashioned way. We're big proponents of actually physically writing things instead of typing them into a piece of paper, or typing them into a computer, writing them down on a piece of paper, because the process by which you have to move your hand to write the letters down makes it stick differently in your brain. So there's nothing wrong with doing it that way, but the point is there's lots of ways to provide accountability. Have a mentor, have a friend, have a coach, have somebody that you're working with. And then have regular check-ins on that and structure it in a way that forces you to be accountable to it every day. That external accountability will help keep you honest, motivated, and help you stop making excuses, which is what we're trying to get to here. So that's step 3. Step number 4 is break goals into bite-sized actions. So what do you do? How do you do that? So this is the 7 habits of highly effective people. Start with the end in mind. So I want to go here. I am currently here. I can develop a roadmap to get from where I am to where I want to be. And then I can follow that roadmap. And that roadmap is little actions consistently over a period of time. So instead of I'm going to get in shape, means I want to lose 30 pounds and I want to be able to run a 5K for Thanksgiving this year. All right. Now, we start there and say 30 pounds, 5K for Thanksgiving. I'm here. What can I do right now, today, to start working towards that goal? What can I do on a consistent basis? So get in shape turns into I'm going to take a 10-minute walk every day this week. And then next week, it's going to be a 15-minute walk. And then the week after, it's going to be a 20-minute walk. And the week after, it's going to be a 10-minute walk and a 5-minute run. Those are daily steps, consistent steps that you can take to work towards your goal. And it makes what seems like a big, crazy, hard goal much more manageable because all you're doing is taking consistent action over a long period of time, which is how you want to get, is how you're going to get to where you want to be. It is rare that anyone makes a quantum leap from where they are to where they want to be without a lot of trial and error, without a lot of problems, without a lot of fight. And so if you think that's going to happen, great. If it happens to you, awesome. Congrats. You're in the small minority where that actually happens. Because for most people, it's a dogfight to get from where you are to where you want to be on most things. But remember, anything that's worth having is worth working hard for. And if it comes easy, it's probably not permanent. If it comes easy, it can go easy. That's the way you got to think about it. But it's those small, manageable actions that make it easier to achieve your goal, and it makes it harder to justify your excuses. So I'm going to lose 30 pounds is tough, right? Okay. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to eat really well today, that's manageable. You have control today. Doesn't talk about what happened in the past, doesn't talk about what's happening in the future. I'm only focused on right now. So it makes it easier to avoid excuses, which remember, that's what we're talking about here. How do we get rid of the excuse mindset and develop a control, I'm going to worry about what I can control mindset, an empowerment mindset. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so that's step 4. So our final step, step number 5, is adopt a do it anyway rule. Now, admittedly, we used to be a lot better at this when we were younger than we are now. So you just got to commit to the things that are important to you, and it doesn't matter what else is going on. It doesn't matter if you feel like it. It doesn't matter if the weather is cooperating. It doesn't matter if whatever. This is what I do, and I'm going to do it no matter what. Because newsflash, even the people you see like at a gym or successful in business or in successful relationships don't always feel like doing what the things they do to be successful in those. They're not like, oh yeah, I get to go to the gym again. There's a lot of times that really fit, really healthy people wake up and say, well, this sucks. I don't want to go today. But they go anyway. Or, you know what? I'd rather lay here in bed than go take care of that little thing I told my partner or my spouse I was going to take care of. Well, you know what? Do it anyway. That's the mindset that you want to develop. So try that in one aspect of your life. So you got to commit to doing those tasks, even if you don't feel like doing them. And you can't do it all at once, but pick, like I said, pick one thing, and then you can use a timer, right? There's a technique called the Pomodoro technique where you set a timer for 25 minutes and you just grind for 25 minutes. When the timer goes off, you stop. You take a 5-10 minute break, and then you go back and do it again. So if you do that, let's just say 3 times, that's 75 minutes. That's an hour and 15 minutes of good, solid, hard work that you're grinding out in essentially a 2-hour period, because you work 25, take 5 or 10 off. Work 25, take 5 or 10 off. So you can do it that way. And then step 3, think about how you feel after you've taken the action, because usually it's going to feel better and you're going to have less resistance to get back into the workflow once you actually start. It's the laws of motion, right? Body at motion tends to stay in motion. Body at rest tends to stay at rest. And we're looking to utilize that principle to our advantage. Problem is, if you're not in motion now, you've got to overcome the initial inertia of getting into motion. So that's the challenge. But if you train your brain to act, no matter if you feel like doing it or not, if it's going to make you uncomfortable, do it anyways. If you don't feel like doing it, do it anyways, right? I'm going to do it anyways. That's the rule that you're trying to develop in your mind. Help you be much more accountable, limit your excuse making to yourself, and help you achieve what you want to achieve. So, sorry guys, you've got to address some challenges because we all live in the real world. It's not a linear progression from where you are to where you want to be. There's fear of failure. That's real. People don't like to fail. They're afraid of it. There's procrastination. That's real. People push things off because they're afraid, they're nervous, they're scared, whatever the reason is. People want things to be perfect. I don't want to do it unless I can do it perfect. Okay, great. So let's take those one by one. Fear of failure. Newsflash, you're going to fail. You failed at lots of stuff in your life, you're just fine. It doesn't matter if you fail. We're not saying be reckless and don't care. We're saying don't let the fear of failure stop you from taking action on things that are important to you, because you're going to fail. So we'll take the suspense out of it. You'll fail at some point. Be prepared for it. Be ready to push through it. It is what it is. Procrastination, almost always from fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, imposter syndrome, whatever the case may be. Procrastination can be overcome simply by taking action. And it doesn't have to be giant, massive action. It can be small action. In fact, it's better if it's small action to start, because it gets that initial motion in progress, and then you can build off of that momentum. And then perfectionism. Nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect. So this whole idea of it's got to be perfect before I move forward is stupid. A good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan next week, because the person that starts next week is a week behind the person that starts today and has been grinding. And so that's the way you've got to think about it. So that's the episode for today, guys. We can't stress enough how important it is to get rid of excuses and take responsibility for your life. You can't rely on excuses. It might make you feel good temporarily, but long term, you're going to know you're bullshitting yourself, and you're going to be in the same exact spot you were when you realize, hey, I shouldn't be making all these excuses. So a lot to take in here. You don't have to do all this at once. Pick one thing. Pick one thing to focus on. Pick one thing to implement. Pick one thing to try, and try it for a while. And when that works, then try another one. Layer another one on top of it, and take those small steps. But if you start now and you start grinding now, you're going to be so much better off than if you try to put together some perfect plan that you'll implement 2 months from now, 3 months from now, whenever the case may be. So we'll leave you with this. We heard this quote. We liked it. We're going to put it in our newsletter tomorrow. So you can either make excuses or you can make progress, but you can't do both. We'd much rather make progress than make excuses. So that's what we're going to focus on. We hope you decide to as well. So James puts it up over here every day. Don't forget to check out our website, saltygingertalk.com. We've got links to all of our podcast episodes there. We've got links to all of our social media accounts there. And we've got, you can subscribe to our newsletter that we publish every weekday there as well. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our podcast on whatever platform you consume it on. It's super helpful for us. We'd love to hear from you in the comments too. Talk about ways you have minimized excuse making in your life, or where you've struggled with it, and what have you done about it? What's been good? What's been bad? It'd be great to hear from some of you in the comments so that the rest of the folks in our Salty Ginger Talk community can share ideas and we can help make each other better. So appreciate everyone checking out the channel. Really glad you're here. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Everybody have a great week.